you're exactly right. You asked me why, and I said, well, I was going into my ego. Well, if I'm not winning, then people aren't going to think we're good, and you're like, that's not why we started this.
No,
that's not why we started this. And I was like, I went back, reflected, self-reflection, talked to God, and then I got back on, and I had to make some tough decisions.
Yeah,
that put the field in jeopardy in terms of winning, but then we ended up winning.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Make More podcast with Matt Heslin. I'm Matt Heslin, I'm your host, and we've got an awesome guest here today, not only my brother and close friend, but the coach of my son's national championship soccer team, and a former soccer player, pro soccer player, and transitioned to coach, and his name is Erik Kirsch. Good morning, Erik.
Good morning. How you doing, Matt? It's an honor to be here, brother.
It's great to see you.
Just being with you is always a blessing, so I'm excited just to talk today and see what we got going on.
Well, we got a lot of questions for you.
Sure.
This podcast is make more. It's making more of your life, making more of your opportunities, making more money, making more health, making more wealth, whatever. And you played a particularly important role in my son's life and the life of the J. Sarah kids soccer team a year ago or so, 2 years ago. And you've taken that team when you took over in 2015, I think?
2015, yeah.
Yeah, and then you guys were like 1 in 19. 1 in 19.
In the game we won, the ball got hit on the back of the defender's head and went in, and we took the victory home. We call that the dark ages.
The glorious victory.
We ran down the field like we won the World Cup.
You know what? But you took that team, and then some years later with Reagan and my son and his whole team, you made it a state champion, a CIF champion, a Trinity League champion, and a national champion.
Yeah, it was exciting.
How was that?
It was awesome. I mean, when you take some organization from the bottom to the top and you get to go through that whole journey, it's so much growth as a coach and as a person. It was awesome.
Let's talk a little bit about your history.
Yeah.
So you played pro soccer in Germany.
Yes.
How many years were you playing?
I played 6.5, and then it was for me. My body was wearing down. I was getting there, a lot of surgeries, but I had a great time. It was my dream since I was 5 years old.
Well, you're an animal. You're a pursuer. You're a predator.
Yeah.
And so, tell us about your injury status, because I love hearing this.
Oh my God!
How many surgeries have you had?
27.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, the body's cashing in the checks right now. That's
27 surgeries, mostly on the knees.
6 on each, 7 on one knee. I got knee replacements, shoulder, ankle surgeries. I took my body to the limit. I took myself, everything I did to the limit.
Well, that's what I want to bring out today.
Yeah.
You also did some MMA stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, no, I got done with soccer. I was around 38 years old, and I still had that fire, that competitive. I wanted to, fight, like not physically, but then it ended up being physically. And I was good at judo. I grew up, doing judo. I got a black belt in judo, so I got into the mixed martial arts and just started having fun, doing a couple fights, had a good time. And
I'd hate to rumble with you.
Well, I could only go like about 3 minutes right now. After 3, I'm done.
That's about all you need.
I just tell people that's all you get. 3 minutes of the worst time of your life, but after that, you don't have to worry about anything.
So, tell our listeners how it was to play pro soccer. What did that feel like?
Well, from a little kid, it was my dream. I mean, that's all I dreamt about, is just to play pro soccer. And not only that, but play in Germany, where my roots are from.
Right.
And to go there and actually make it as an American during that time was, for me, like, really, it was a blessing, and I had a great time. I could have just after that, like I tell a lot of people, I could have just went to heaven and been done. That was what I loved to do.
Wow.
A lot of times you go to those help seminars and stuff when I got back, and I decided I was going to try to go in the real world, which was a mistake, instead of coaching. The guy said, well, did you guys all achieve your dream? And I raised my hand, and he goes, okay, you're one of the 10,000, get out of here.
You can get the hell out of here.
So yeah, I mean, I was blessed. I got to do what I've been dreaming about since I was a kid, and I'm doing it now again, just helping kids do it.
So, did you tell us about the transition? What What made the transition happen between being a player and transitioning to being a coach?
Well, it kind of started before I left to Germany. I was with a coach that was a mentor, Bob O'Leary, and he was from St. Louis. And St. Louis during his time was like the hotbed of soccer in the '70s. And he was a coach that really kind of like got my attention about coaching, about not just coaching, making a player better, but like creating a culture, creating a team, and creating something that nobody's doing. And so it got me intrigued, and I started being his right-hand man, like assistant, Back then, the kids today, they ask right away, well, how much do I get paid? I was getting paid cheeseburgers and, you know what I mean? I was just doing my time, like listening to him.
Sure.
For me, he was a lot like the Pep Guardiola or the Johan Cruyff of his era in the United States. He brought a lot of things that I use today that was like over 40 years ago.
So who's been the most instrumental person in your life for learning how to be an effective soccer coach?
Well, before I found the Lord, it was guys like mentors, like Bob O'Leary.
Yeah.
I had my uncle, Willie Antilippins, people men that came in my life that showed me that this is what I want to be to help kids. There's coaches I had that I wouldn't wish that coach on anyone. And then there's coaches I had, Bob Knight, who his son is the Long Beach volleyball coach, men's coach, Alan Knight, and he played on my club team. We won national titles, and he's there for 22 years. So, I mean, obviously his dad instilled a lot of us young men kind of how to be successful and follow your dreams and work hard. And he was an old Irish guy, and we played, and he gathered a bunch of us athletes that, was pretty incredible experience. But and then after, for me, it's my Savior, Jesus Christ. Once I found him, he gave me another purpose of what his gift he gave me to go do.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, in a different way for a sec. How would you describe your coaching style today? How has it evolved over time?
Well, and so when you're young, when you come into coaching, I was more like, the yeller, getting on guys, kind of like the player coach.
Right.
And I didn't really have a 30,000-foot view. I had more of the view of, getting this kid to do what I wanted.
Right.
And then at the same time, trying to get him to learn some lessons about life. But then, when you're coming at them that strong, sometimes they're not going to look at you as a purpose. So, and then today, I've learned when to press the athlete, when to hug the athlete, when to leave the athlete alone, and try to guide them and help them guide themselves and make their own decisions. Where, before I wanted to do it like a joystick.
So would you say you've gone from a more tactical, field level coach to a more systemic individual coaching tactic, but with the bigger picture in mind, without being so one-on-one forcing calls on the field?
Yeah. What I've done is try to make sure that everything I try to give them, they could learn in training or out in my office, talking to them individually as people, because, when you get the athlete to believe in himself as a person, then when you ask them to perform, they feel that confidence that they see that you care about them more than just a win. They're actually a means to the end, and you get this incredible athlete that goes out there and will kill for you, and it's incredible to watch. And then they get to see the benefits from their, exciting moments of being successful or even not being successful. We learn, right?
So let me just ask you something from that vein. What qualities do you look for in a player that you're going to recruit and put on your team? What are you looking for?
Right. I've always looked for it, and today I look for a kid that is humble, works hard, has great work ethic, and then obviously you want to find somebody that's talented. And now in every position there's different talents. Defenders have to have a little more of that bite about them. They have to have that I'm not letting anybody through the gate kind of guy, the gatekeeper. And then the midfielders, you want them to be like a creative human being, but also work hard. And also that a player that is about the team, not about himself. And it's hard because when you mix talent with hard work, it's hard because the talent sometimes overcomes the hard work, and that's where the young kids get in trouble. And I think that's what happens today in coaching world is the coaches use the talent to win, not help the talent to be better.
Right. So if you were to talk about mental resilience for a second, how big a quality is that in a player that you require?
Oh, huge. And in my day, we didn't really even know what that was, right, Matt? Like
Right.
when we were playing sports, we were just told, get out there and don't be a big sissy about everything and stop crying like a baby. And there was no actual mental fitness. Like we have Jim Madrid, we have guys like that come in and, help with this. But the mental fitness part is huge because I find out a lot of times that you got a kid that's a great athlete and a great talented athlete, not only just athletic, but could play soccer, has the skills to do it. And mentally, he doesn't have the mental fortitude to actually go through what he needs to go through. And so it could be because a lot of reasons, because maybe he's never had to push through something hard in his life, never had adversity. That's one thing Bob O'Leary always said is, embrace adversity. And a lot of these kids don't want to embrace it. They want to get the next app.
They want to get out of it.
Yeah, they want to get the next app on their phone that makes it easy. Yeah. Hey Siri, how do I get through this easy?
Well, I mean, with AI now and with everything else, everything's instant. Everything's just super easy, and everything should come fast. And this is a new generation of kids who is going to be leading this nation going forward. And boy, we better get them on a strong work ethic because they don't have it. Most of them just don't have it.
And that's all I'm trying to do every day. I coach at the college too, as well as JSerra High School and, Concordia University. Just took over as the head coach there. And I see it at the college level too. It's a lot of these young men, when they embrace adversity, they're stuck. It stops them. And what I'm trying to do is hopefully create the young men that give them an opportunity to be purposeful and try to figure a way through the adversity, even if it's not a win, but it's a way to learn how to get through it.
It's like when I was building businesses and companies, you have every day a significant task or hurdle or obstacle standing in your way between you and the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's like, these guys today are like marshmallows. They just buckle. They just melt.
Well, like I said, everything's on an app.
Everything's on an app.
Everybody's on an app. Hey, how do I get through this?
How do you do my homework for me?
Yeah, yeah.
And so they want the homework done for them.
Yeah.
And the reality is that they don't really think through the problems of today. They don't think through a solution. They look for an app.
And if they start to go through it, the uncomfortability makes them want to quit. And if you look at the generations before us, they lived in uncomfortability, and that's what made them push through it.
Well, that's where growth occurs.
Yeah, that's where all the growth occurs.
I mean, there's no growth. If when you're succeeding, you may be growing financially, but you're not growing emotionally, physically,
everything,
spiritually.
Well, how many times I came to you? We were 1 in 19. Me and you would have meetings, and I'm not gonna lie, I'd be falling apart right there in front of you on a broken yoke table, and looking at you, and you say, "Hey, keep going, keep pushing, do the right things, keep pushing." And what's your famous phrase you always said to me?
The right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing.
You got it. And I'm
right
telling
thing
you,
and the easy thing are rarely the same thing.
And gosh, I live by that every day.
Because that is a fact.
It is. It's a map to your life.
Yeah, I discovered that saying. I was going through a pretty big acquisition, and we had some inside information on the deal, and I told my guys, I'm like, we're not doing the deal. We got the deal awarded to us on the bidding. It was a bid, and I said, because you had inside information, that is not illegal necessarily, but it's immoral, and we're going to give up. I mean, we were going to make a lot of money.
Yeah. And
they were shocked, but they never did it again. I never had to send them a memo on ethics, and how my ethical standards and where they are. They understood it.
You demonstrated it.
They never did it again.
You demonstrated the highest level. I guess, I don't know if you heard the other day, there was a play in soccer, and even the VAR now today, the VAR that shows everything, couldn't pick it up, and there was an actual handball.
Oh,
and the guy said, "Yeah, I handed it," and gave the other team a PK.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to do that at the highest level, all your teammates go in the locker room. I'm sure you're not the most favorite guy in the world, because not everybody has that strong morality, right?
No.
It's like win or, Ricky Bobby, right? If you're not first, you're last.
Jesus. So when you look back on your career as a player first, what are some of the most memorable moments? Does anything stand out to you as like a moment where you were like, oh, that was just in the memory box for good?
Yeah, when we won in Germany, when you win a league and go up to the next division, the town, the city, the people, it's like, you feel like you're Michael Jordan walking around. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it was. And then just the guys and the work we put in, the long season, and it just still gives me, just the feeling of reaching that goal together.
So a lot of that is emotion.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of that memory is like an emotional high.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. The thing is, I think about the kids today, and we've watched it happen, where they just get lazy and they just get, like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. I'm not famous on the field anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not the big name. And what's your advice to these kids? I mean, they've got to push through.
Yeah.
They've got to give it all they got. And instead of throttling back, how do we get them to throttle forward?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm no, pay grade wise psychologist, sports psychologist. I'm not, versed in that. But as a coach, as a guy that's been doing this 30 years and watching kids, I probably have over 2,000 athletes in D1 professional. That doesn't mean anything. I could be the worst coach ever still. But what I see the kids, what I try to help the kids understand is, what's your passion? Like, really, why? What's your why? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, right.
Like, first ask her, why are you doing this? You doing it for mom and dad? Okay, it's not going to last long.
Right.
Because when nobody's looking, you got to be running up those hills. When nobody's watching you, you got to be in the gym. And that's, I think, the hardest thing is, these kids get brought up, go to soccer practice, mom and dad drive them everywhere. So they're kind of robotic. And then all of a sudden they get dumped off in a program like mine, or a program that says, hey, there's no more mom and dad. You have to have the motivation within yourself,
right,
to try to climb the ladder. Now there's kids that absolutely eat that up. And then there's kids that kind of have all the tools. It's funny when I call it the golden goose. When you get a kid that has it all, it's very rare. I've seen only one or two in my time of coaching. And even then they lack something. And it was like something that God said, you're going to have to work on this. You're going to have to find a way through this part of your makeup. But I think the one thing I would tell the parents is always asking their kid, what's the why?
That's a great question. It's like start with why.
Instead of like, you need to be the best forward. You need to be, telling what the kid he needs to be. Well, what does the kid want to be, and what's his why? Like, why do you want to go to Stanford? Why do you want to go to Princeton? Just because of the name and you got the shirt from grandma one day? No. Like, why do you really want to go there? Because I want to be the highest achiever in academics, and I want to go do, okay, that's a dream, right?
I think that's the biggest start. That's a great revelation, Eric. Start with why. Why are you doing this? And the kid says, I don't want to play soccer anymore. Then why are we here?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And a lot of times I go through it, Matt, and a lot of times it's because they've been in a pattern their whole life. Mom and dad bring them to the soccer field or sports, whatever sport it is, right? And they start doing it, and then they feel like they're going to let mom and dad down if they change direction, which takes away from the gift of what God's really asking them to do. Yeah. But it's hard. Like, we all, I'm a parent, and I love to see my kid do great out there in the court.
Absolutely.
And, it gives me a high too, because I'm like, yeah, go get him, And then,
awesome.
If my kid came to me and said, hey, I want to quit volleyball, I'd probably be like, why? You're so good. But it's not me playing. I got to remember it's them playing.
Yeah. So you maintain a very busy schedule. I mean, you're coaching. You've coached high school, you've coached club, you've coached college, you've coached pro, you've coached and do today.
Yeah.
Work-life balance for you. What does the work-life balance look like, and how do you maintain it?
It's a constant battle. It's a constant organization. I mean, one is, me and you've talked over breakfast. Another point, right? And you've helped me a lot with this is, prioritize everything quickly. Make sure you have those already written down somewhere.
Yeah.
What's your priority? God, family.
Yeah.
Which includes my wife and kids, which a lot of times when you're in a career like I am, that gets put on the afterburner. And that's in the past when I was younger, I let that go a little bit, and I, paid the price a little bit, but got back on track. But then what is my next passion? It's asking me what's my why. So my why has to be driven from my task daily. So if my why is to help a kid get to college, then that has to be what my why is today. If it's to help Jay Sarah win a national title, help Concordia win a national title.
So your why varies depending on the child.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
But why? Let's go to the bigger why.
Yeah.
Why are you coaching? Why aren't you out in the business world? Why aren't you in the classroom?
Yeah,
what's your why?
What's really interesting you asked that, Matt. It's really cool you asked that, because when I when I was at a really good peak, I was coaching pro at a very young age, 32. Like, just got back from junior, took over a pro team, successful, started winning the A-League, came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, 1-19, coming out of nowhere. I said, I want to make it in the business world. I want to make $1 million. I see all these guys talk about it, and I'm a top athlete. I could do it. I went to go do loans back in 2005, 2006.
Things were okay back then.
They were good. The loans were dropping out of the sky, and I made some money. But
manna from heaven.
But my soul and what I was really meant to do was dying. And I realized it didn't matter about the money. It mattered about what God wanted me to do. Like, he gave me a path. My why was to help young men like I got helped. And like, I love to see the young men, and I coach girls teams too, but young people that have a dream like I had. A dream to go to a country where nobody thought we could go and play soccer, and help them accomplish a dream. If it's go to Stanford, if it's go to, UCSD and be a soccer player. If it's, hey, we had kids go through Jay Sarah. The guy's, he's going to be a lawyer. We had a guy, USC, a doctor, Dante, right?
Yeah.
And his parents still come to the games. And so those are the things I'm like, seeing these individuals accomplish something that they looked for as a kid is kind of what I was built like. So then this is like, okay, God, maybe it doesn't make a lot of money, but I notice when I did what I love to do, I always had a plate to eat. I always had a roof over my head, and my family was good.
Yeah.
And that's hard to believe, so, because sometimes people probably hear me and go, yeah, whatever, dude, just go, I got to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
But it's so true. When you do what you love to do and you stick with it and you believe in it, it happens.
The thing is, one of the things I think you've neglected to touch on, which I know you want us to talk about, is your faith.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that you and I would talk about all the time when we'd meet together, we'd talk about strategy, talk about kids we want to bring into the program. We'd pray all the time.
Yes.
And God would guide us and guided us to not just CAF, not just Trinity League, not just state champion, but the national title championship.
Yeah.
And my son was the number one player in the country.
Yeah.
Under your leadership, you've been developing him
since he was 10.
And he's now 19. Yeah. I mean, so you're a great. I've said this to so many people about you. I said, Erik Kirsch is a master of developing boys into men. Erik Kirsch is a master of developing boys into men.
Thank you.
And that is the highest compliment I can give you. Because you literally put up with so much from these kids. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, even my son, just.
I know.
I mean, and you day after day, you go out there and do it. And so let's talk about your why.
Okay.
Because doing all that, putting up with that, I don't want to play soccer anymore, coach. Shut up and get out there.
I don't want to go work out. I want to go to the beach. I want to start this new thing. I want to, these kids today, it's like, I get it.
Shut up. We brought you on to play soccer. Get out there. But why do you do it? Is because you want to bring these kids to the Lord. That's a big one for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, soccer for me is the carrot to get their attention. Like, I talk to a lot of teachers, and it's hard. Nothing against these teachers in our institutions today are working endlessly hours and getting nothing. I get at least to have a national title. I get to be in the limelight. They never get in the limelight. So I have a carrot that I could show them, and then after I move the carrot, I try to show them the Lord. I try to show them that there's something bigger than all of us that you could believe in, you could trust. Because today, you know, a lot of people have trust in their bank account, have trust in things that could perish in a second. And we both know that. You could be on the highest end, making big deals, making lots of money, and it could be taken away in a second from you.
Yeah.
But if you have something bigger than that, a purpose, the Lord, God, that you know that's always there regardless of what your decisions are, it just makes it so much easier to go through. And that's what I'm trying to help them, because I didn't have God. I didn't give myself to the Lord till 38.
So you played your whole career.
Yeah, I played
godless.
as a heathen.
As a heathen and an animal.
Yeah, an animal. But God gave me that gift to be a beast. He gave me the gift of relentlessness. And then now he showed me the gift of what to do the relentless of helping these young men when you don't want to, when you're tired and they call you on a Sunday and say, Coach, I don't really want to practice anymore. I want to start a lemonade stand and make lots of money, and not go to college, right? And top university in the world. I'd rather go and, go to Hawaii and start a surfboard shop on the beach. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go. It's that having that passion and love for them to understand they're just lost. I was lost and then I'm found.
Well, but it just goes, it's dawning on me as we're sitting here even more deeply than it has in the past. I mean, I read the book, Start With Why.
Yeah.
And it was profound in my thinking and changed the way I went about organizing things, organizing businesses. It's like Steve Jobs, they asked him, what's your why? To put a computer on every single child's desk.
Think of that dream.
Yeah. And he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, he made computers affordable and accessible, and everybody's got a computer now.
Yeah, and the phone is actually a computer now.
Yeah.
Right? So
handheld. But so it dawns on me that when the kids are struggling, you sit down with them and you go, what's your why? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And that's what I think for you do so well is your why. Your why has got a higher calling and a higher purpose than just soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know how else I could operate. If my why wasn't why would I care about helping this kid then? I would just be a phony and be sitting there going, yeah, I'm a coach and I care about these kids. But when the kid calls me or the kid's going through something, I'm sure I've missed before because I'm one person.
Right.
But I've always committed myself to say, even my wife knows. She knows. Like, we could be sitting there at 10 o'clock on a Sunday, and if Reagan calls and he says, Coach, I really need to talk to you, she knows I'm going to go talk to Reagan because that's in my why.
Right.
Because I'm there to help these kids through the toughest times. And sometimes that has nothing to do with soccer.
Well, and that's literally what I wanted this whole podcast to be about, is finding your why and your purpose for why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that you've been very good with the kids about showing them, helping them figure out their why when they're struggling. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, Coach. That may or may not be true.
Yes.
Let's discover your why. Why did we do this in the first place?
Yeah.
Why are we doing it now? And why do you want to quit?
Well, and I keep bringing it up, but you helped me through that. I was going through the why and I started making decisions, and you said to me, why are you blaming the players?
Yeah.
And I lost my why. And I said, oh my God, he's right. He's right, 100%. Why am I blaming the players? Go figure it out and help the players. Because that's all they're getting out there besides me is, and I'm not saying I'm anything special, but a lot of these kids, they're getting told what to do. Well, they're getting told what to do, Matt, right? They go to school, they never get to ask themselves the question is, why am I doing this? And how much passion do I have for this?
That's a big one. For everybody in this audience, if you're thinking about starting a business, a charitable entity, whether you found a church, whatever you're going to do, you do it for the Lord. But what's your why?
Yeah.
Find out what your why is.
And he gives you those gifts, right?
Oh, he absolutely.
Like, when he introduced me to you, it was awesome. I had a person, not only a friend, but somebody that would tell me the truth.
And dude, we went all the way to the national championship.
Yeah, we did, baby.
That's unbelievable.
Yep. And when nobody thought we would.
Dude,
Remember that?
Dude, we smoked everybody.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And we put JCR on the map of soccer, and Matt, you helped me with the whole program and the career. I mean,
Thanks.
the leadership you did from the background was truly, it took a lot of special type tools, because I'm not easy to deal with, and you had to like ask me my why without making me go the other way, or I'll prove to you, Matt. I want to prove to one of my best buds. I'll do it. I'll show everyone. You're like, whoa.
Slow down.
Why are you doing this? What about the kids? Why are you blaming this? Figure it out. Go do it. And then what do? I turned around in a week and figured it out.
Well, you know what it is? It's about personal reflection. It's about sitting down, talking to. For me, personally, it's about sitting down, talking with the Lord.
Yeah.
And saying, help me figure out why I'm doing it. Why do I want this?
Yeah.
What is my ego driving this?
Exactly.
Is it money driving this? Or am I doing it to please you? Or please somebody else who really doesn't matter? And so you fundamentally come to a point in your life when you've had some great success, and you say, okay, I know why we did what we did.
Yeah.
But what's our next why? Why I'm going to be on this planet another 30 years.
Yeah.
What's my why? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And mine is to help every single person every single day that I can.
Yeah. To
love everybody, to help everybody, to give them what they need.
And I witnessed that from you. I witnessed that from you, Matt. And that's that day you're exactly right. You asked me why, and I said, well, I was going into my ego. Well, if I'm not winning, then people aren't going to think we're good. And you're like, that's not why we started this.
No.
That's not why we started this. And I was like, I went back, reflected, self-reflection, talked to God, and then I got back on. And I had to make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
That put the field in jeopardy in terms of winning, but then we ended up winning.
Yeah, we made some tactical decisions on some people.
Yeah, some people that did some things that weren't part of the culture.
Right.
And they were good players. So I knew that it would hurt the field, or I thought it would. And it ended up being a blessing the other way.
Well, from a strategic standpoint, when you take the position that they played and how good they were, it was a high risk.
It was a very high risk.
But God rewards that, because he's like, you're doing the right thing. It's like when I lost that deal I was telling you about. I just said, no, we have inside information. I'm not doing anything immoral. But I've been rewarded 1,000,000 times over.
And think about that. At that moment, the whole world was looking at me, including my coaching staff, including all your employees, going, what are you doing? Right? Because it's about getting the deal. It's about winning the game. And we had to rise above all that.
Yes.
And everybody else going, you're nuts, Erik. You're taking him off the field for 3 games. Why? And then guess what happened? That person that came back to me 5 years ago and said, that was the best thing you ever did for my life.
So I have one thing I want the listeners to take away from today.
Yeah.
And that is, when I hire people, I hire for 3 things.
Okay.
Ethics, energy, and integrity.
Yeah.
So ethics, energy, and integrity. If you can hire for that, all the rest of it will fall into place. But ethics, energy, and integrity.
I'm going to steal that one from you again, too.
Fine.
I'm going to steal. I steal all your stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I'm successful.
I had Jim Madrid here last week. He borrowed a few. He was great. Jim, did you see the one with Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
So, what do you want your legacy to be about? When you're done coaching, and the kids are all looking back, what do you want to be remembered for? What's the legacy?
That coach was always there for me.
I think that's awesome, because you were, and you have been.
And I will continue to.
And the thing I think is that your why is so definitive, and your why is so clear that you can't fail. You will have struggles.
You're pumping me up to win another title.
Yeah. Well, I demand it.
That's what I love. Yes, you do. I love it.
I demand it.
I love it.
Yeah, I tell you, it's just been a fun ride together.
It's not over.
We've grown so much.
I know.
And, I learned as much from you as you learned from me.
That's hard for me to believe, but,
it is kind of not true. I'm just kidding. I learned a lot, because we're in an exploratory phase.
Yeah.
Where we're asking the Lord, give us direction. we're doing it to honor and glorify you.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh my gosh.
National title.
Yeah.
Nobody could believe it.
But think about along the way, we would pray about that and something would come in front of us and you'd be like, the hard thing?
And the easy thing. And the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing.
And I'd be like...
And you know the thing is...
And I'd sometimes look at you and go, really?
But you know, Eric...
Kind of like the kids I coach. You sure I got to do that?
You know, the thing about that is, it's true, number one.
Yeah, it's absolutely
And
true.
number two, it guided us to the national title.
Yes.
Because when we removed some of those players who were problems,
yeah,
that was not easy, but it was risky, tactically speaking.
Everybody thought I was nuts.
But it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
And God rewarded us for doing the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so...
When I get my first locker room, either at Concordia or J. Sarah, that's going up on the wall.
I love it.
That is going to be one of the biggest mantras we have, because that, to me, is what these kids have to learn. You know, at times these kids come through a decision, and it's the hardest thing when you're young, right? And you're trying to find out who you are, what your social status is, right? Like, you're trying to build your growth about you. Even adults have this, right? Who am I, right? Who am I?
Right.
And if you don't have a book to the Bible, the Lord, to live by, but that phrase, just try it. Try to live that one day.
Yeah.
You know, you find,
Yeah.
just try it. I challenge all the listeners, try it. Try to live by that phrase. I try to live by it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, but today I don't really want to live by that.
I don't want to do that.
I want to go right, not left, because right's the easier way. And it makes me more money, famous, but it's not the right thing.
Right.
And I think that's the hardest thing we fight with social media, right? I mean, think about all the stuff that goes out there and constantly trying to make that decision.
So I left a few minutes just if you wanted to have any dialogue back and forth about questions you might have for me.
What drove you to do this podcast? I never got to ask you that.
Oh, so, my why is to help everybody in the world that needs help, bring hope and help to a hurting world. So if you go to the Heslin Family Foundation, it's to help a hurting world.
Okay.
And so...
I've seen that.
Yeah, so on my foundation, at HeslinFamilyFoundation.com, you can see our why. But the why is to help and bring hope to the world. It's really about helping God's people, so that when I meet the Lord and He goes, "You really kicked some ass out there." I go, "Yeah, I did." I went out. I did the things I didn't want to do. I mean, I was thinking about this morning. To live a good life means not doing what you would necessarily want to do, and doing what you necessarily don't want to do.
Okay.
So
I need a copy of that, because I'm going to steal that.
Well, it's true.
No, but it's so profound.
Half of life is doing what you don't want to do.
Yes.
And half of life is not doing what you want to do. That's the formula for success. I mean,
we were talking about today with the young guy.
So yeah. So it's like, so if people can take away that, and the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing.
Yeah.
That you're well on your way, because you'll make the personal sacrifices necessary to not take that dirty money.
Yeah.
To not take that when the guy has a handball.
Yeah.
And he calls it out for himself.
Yeah.
It's doing the right thing, and it's the honorable thing to do. It's the right way to live. And then the last thing I'll say is we talked about finding your why.
Yeah.
So find your why in what you're doing or what you're about to do. Critical. And remember, the right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing.
Amen.
And when you're hire for right integrity, intelligence, and integrity, intelligence, and energy.
Yes.
So those are the lessons for today.
And I'll just add to the last thing: live it, though, because I watch you live it. I meet a lot of guys that are successful or not successful, and they talk, but they don't live it. You live it. I truly believe that, Matt. And I'm not just, I don't blow smoke. You know that.
Yeah.
You don't blow smoke either.
No, I don't blow smoke.
Nope.
But
you live it, and I see you live it, and that motivates me to live it. And I think that's what I do for the kids. I live it. I live my why, so they can't say, "Oh, he's full of baloney."
So your legacy, in my eyes,
yeah.
When I talk to people about Erik Kirsch, is he's a master of turning boys into men, and he does it through Christ.
Thank you.
And it's awesome. Yeah. It's been awesome to watch you go through everything you've gone through together. It's been awesome to win a national title together.
Yep.
It's been fun to watch these boys that we thought were just grangly little rugrats now going
little noodle arms.
You know, I saw Sydney Dina.
Oh my gosh! Talk about somebody that came through our program, through your system, through your foundation that helped him. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, dude, it was tear jerking. So Coral and I brought Madison, our middle daughter, over to her new school, and she's going back to become a teacher. And who do I see on campus? It's Sydney Dina.
Yeah.
And he comes up and gives me the biggest hug. So, Mr. Heslin, thank you so much for all you did.
I love that.
And you know, this kid was in the ghetto, went to J. Sarah, graduated. Yep. Now he's playing college soccer, living on campus, living his best life.
And he's coming back to coach. He coached with us at J. Sarah during the camps. The kid is actually talking to little Sydney's about doing the right thing.
Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing. It blew my... I tried not to get all... I got really emotional. I had to walk off the field because the big bear was going, oh my God, Sydney, you know, like...
I mean, so my daughter starts today at Vanguard.
Okay.
And Sydney, we saw Sydney on Thursday or Friday of last week. He looks amazing. Oh, he's big now, and he's tough, and he's disciplined. And
you notice he looks at you in the eyes when he talks to you now.
Yeah.
When I first got him, he would never look at me in the eye. He always looking down. And today he looks so proud of himself, and he loves the Lord.
You know how many kids we helped bring through that program that have been saved and are going on to do great things? And that's our why.
That's our why.
Who gives a the money? It's about the why.
All I know is I'm sitting here today with my best friend, and
love you.
I have coffee, and life's good. I'm definitely eating and sleeping in a nice house, so I guess my why is okay.
Your why is awesome.
Yeah.
It's really admirable. Well, thanks for coming in, buddy.
Oh, I love you, buddy. I'll come on at any time. And for the viewers, man, if you ever get a chance to listen to this guy, I would do it. It's changed my life.
Love you, man.
Love you, bro.
Have a great day.
I will.
Thanks.
I'll go kick some butt.
Go kick some ass.
What is it? Give him heaven.
Give him heaven. See ya.
See ya, bud.